Artists are the shamans of our day. Be they poet or composer, dancer, actor or playwright, author, or, in the case of Bob Nugent, visual artist, the best artists show us what it means to be human. To be sure, Bob Nugent has, throughout his career, employed art as a means of exploring the relationship of the subjects of civilization, us, to what we often refer to as the natural world. Yet under the hands of the artist, we are reminded time and again that we of civilization's product are not separate from the natural world, but a species within it. A species, to be sure, that can sometimes have devastating and invasive impacts. For 37 years, Bob Nugent has traveled to the Amazon, documenting the landscape in drawings and paintings of striking abstractions, with notes of realism dotted throughout. His approach, so much more than pure abstraction, is an encompassing approach to his subject matter, revealing not only the appearance of things as filtered through his artist's eye, but also his memories of sound, smell, emotion, and intellectual response. He gives us paintings reflective of all of his senses and memories of the place. In Brazil, they call this Sentido.
There's a word in Portuguese called Sentido, which has to do with experiencing all of your senses. So when you go to a place, you don't do a plein air painting of what the place looks like, but rather I write down notes and I make little drawings and sometimes little watercolors about a place, but they're not necessarily referential. In other words, if I hold it up to you, you might not be able to tell where that came from. How did the leaves feel under my feet? Were they wet? Were they dry? Did they crunch? All of these things were taken into account, and I'd write those memories in the journals and take lots of photographs. I've taken thousands and thousands of photographs over the last 34 years. I go back each year, 2 or 3 times a year, to explore new areas. I always try to go to a new place. I started out in the lower part of the Amazon River and then ultimately went all the way to Iquitos in Peru and went upriver from there and downriver from there. So all of these experiences, I hope, will come through in the paintings. That's the idea.
The Amazon rainforest is a life-renewing landscape, so long as destructive outside forces do not outpace the natural mechanisms of regeneration. Massive deforestation to clear lands for farming and the wanton stripping of resources through irreversible mining have greatly diminished this part of the world. The forest creates its own nursery, giving birth to new growth through its constant layering of decaying and nutrient-rich vegetation. This upper layer is the source of all new growth, and once the land is scraped of this upper vegetal layer for farming, or the land is pitted and mined, leaving behind vast lakes of toxic materials, we destroy the healing powers of the rainforest. In his painting, Dividir, Nugent offers an encapsulation of this effect. In the painting, we see earthy layers of decay and its life-giving properties, allowing for new vegetation to spring forth. Windows reveal the ever-present waters of the Amazon, a symbol of the powerful forces unleashed by the rainforest. But there is a warning here as well. Expanses of blank canvas would seem to be devoid of this nutrient layer, boding ill for the future of the region. In his painting, Dominio da Agua Negra, the artist conveys the power of the Amazon. Its forces are rich, potent, and dark, almost beyond our ken. The Amazon rainforest, covering much of northwestern Brazil and extending into Colombia, Peru, and other South American countries, is the world's largest tropical rainforest. Famed for its biodiversity, it is crisscrossed by thousands of rivers, including the powerful Amazon.
I would go in and I'd be amazed by everything. Everything was so overwhelming. The place is so huge you can't get your head around it. And I remember walking through a section of the jungle in Mato Grosso, and it started getting very, very dark. And it was midday, and all of a sudden there was no light. The jungle was almost black. And I said, "What's going on?" And he said, "The leaves in the trees are getting full of water and they're bending over, so it's creating a canopy." And then 10 minutes later, the leaves unleashed the rain. And we got drenched. I mean, and all of a sudden there was sunshine, and it was like someone was standing over your head with 5-gallon buckets and just continually drenching you from above. And that kind of thing left huge impressions on me. I was very afraid of the jungle when I first went there, afraid of what could happen to me. And so that, little by little, I became more comfortable and could stay in the place and not feel that fear anymore, and start to appreciate what was there, and what the indigenous folks now also appreciate.
In many of Nugent's works, the artist shares the beauty of the rainforest, both to convey a sense of the wonder of the place, but also as a reminder of what we are in danger of losing should we not take steps to be better custodians of the lands we share. It is a subtle, yet affirming protest by the artist. In Jardim Inhotim, we see the brilliant array of colors from a rainforest vibrant and full of life. It is affirming and beautiful. It is something we do not want to lose.
This is about, this painting is about a place, and it has to do with a tribe, the Orinoco. It has the elements of the river. It has references to flowers. A little red flower will take a lot of space in the painting, even though the flower was very small. So a lot of things like that are hidden back into the imagery. Part of the Sertão, which is the open area around it's more arid than the deep part of the forest. And the death of a bird. All you see are the black wings, dismantled, disruptive. You see a bit of the confused sky up there. And so this black in the painting represents the bird and the feathers. So I don't always have that much symbolism in the work, but I think that's what comes out of my head.
In a recent series of works, Nugent has undertaken a more direct approach to reveal what is at stake. In his work, Esquisita, we see the remains of a terraced mine. It is stripped, gouged, and laid bare, a massive pit scarring the land through short-mindedness in the larger game of greed. Is this to be the future of our Earth?
With the new work, I feel I have to talk about the destruction and what we're losing, and I hope that there's a counterpoint there to the earlier paintings, which I call the Jardim Inhotim. Through the painting, I bring another look, another feel to the eyes of the audience, rather than just seeing a place and then its destruction, and then another place and what happens. And so I had hoped that the painting had more feeling than that it related in a different way than this photographic representation. But now we have an awakening, and we must listen to the people that understand these things the best and make some changes, or it's going to get very, very dire. Some of my friends who work, anthropologists and so forth, say that if we'd leave the Amazon alone right now, it would completely restore itself in 10 years. So it's not a lost cause.
In the art of Bob Nugent, The vegetation and life forms of the Amazon find themselves portrayed as abstracted visions of our world. They are as recognizable as nature itself, but in the artist's paintings they transform into emotional and psychological commentaries. It is too simplistic to say that Bob Nugent paints abstract elements of nature itself. What he paints, rather, are commentaries of our life on Earth, a life at risk if we do not see the transformations rendered by man.
And I'm tired. I want to be optimistic. I want to see things come back. And that's what I'd like to see happen there too. Not only there, but in the US. That if we can slow some of these things down, at least now, and eventually find new ways. And I know the scientists, the engineers, all these guys will find a way to get around this stuff. These things can happen.